The Arathi world was silent. Once a place of life and color, it now lay gray under a sickly sky. The cities, built with tall spires and flowing bridges, were empty. Smoke rose from broken buildings, and strange, twisted plants crawled over abandoned streets. A disease had spread fast, one that no Arathi doctor could stop. One by one, other civilizations had received the Arathi distress call and turned away. They had judged the Arathi hopeless. But one species did not turn away. In low Earth orbit, the human space station Atlas orbited quietly above the blue planet. Inside, Lieutenant Aaron Cole studied the incoming transmissions. The message was unlike anything he had seen. Images of ruined cities flickered across the screen. The sound of Arathi voices, frantic and broken, filled the small control room. Aaron's fingers hovered over the console, unsure if he wanted to press any button at all. His stomach twisted, not with fear, but with a strange kind of anger. How could everyone else ignore this? He tapped his communicator. "Commander Briggs, you need to see this." Laura Briggs, the station commander, arrived quickly. Her dark hair tied back in a tight braid. She looked at the screen, her eyes narrowing. "That is worse than we expected," she said quietly. She rubbed her temple. "Every civilization that received this message has refused to help. They said it's too dangerous or that the Arathi are a lost species. And yet, here we are." Aaron nodded. "We can't just leave them." "Not after seeing this," Laura sighed. "I know, but the risk? Earth cannot afford an outbreak. We have billions of lives to protect." Aaron shook his head. "We can protect ourselves. We've handled dangerous situations before. But if we don't act, no one will. The Arathi will die." Laura stared at him. She had been trained to weigh risks, to make the logical choice. Yet, looking at the images of the dying world, she felt a stirring she could not ignore. There was something human in this, something she could not calculate. "Prepare a team," she said finally. "We'll go. We'll take precautions, but we'll go." Aaron's face lit up. He had expected hesitation, maybe refusal, but not this. "Yes, ma'am. I'll start assembling the crew." Within hours, the team was ready. Aaron, Laura, medic Olivia Barnes, and engineer Kyle Rivers stood before the shuttle that would take them beyond Earth orbit. The shuttle was small, sleek, designed for quick movement and high protection. Its hull glinted under the station lights. Every member of the crew knew the dangers. Yet no one hesitated. Olivia checked her medical supplies again. "We're really doing this, huh?" she asked, her voice soft. Kyle gave a nervous laugh. "Yeah, we are. And if anyone gets sick, I'm blaming the Arathi for not giving us a heads up." Aaron smiled faintly. "It's not their fault. They need us. And we're going to do this right. Keep your eyes open and your wits about you. The world we're entering, it's not like anything we've ever seen." The shuttle left the station, its engines humming. Earth grew smaller in the viewport, a swirl of blue and green. Beyond lay the cold blackness of space, dotted with stars. The crew settled into silence, each lost in thought. None spoke of fear. There was concern, yes, but it was mixed with determination. This mission was not about glory. It was about survival, and about hope. Days passed as the shuttle traveled through the void. The Arathi distress signal was erratic, sometimes fading, sometimes screaming in sharp bursts across the communication channels. Each time, the team adjusted course, following the trail to a dying world. One night, Olivia called out softly, pointing to the screen. "Look at this. They're cities. It's like they've been abandoned for years, but this happened just months ago." Kyle leaned closer. "I've never seen anything like this. The buildings are crumbling so fast. And look at that plant growth. It's almost fast enough to reach the shuttle if we land there." Aaron frowned. "It's like the planet itself is fighting back. The disease isn't just killing the Arathi. It's changing the environment too." Laura placed a hand on the back of the seat. "We'll need protective suits. Full containment. No mistakes. One exposure, and it could spread faster than the shuttle can return." Finally, after what felt like endless hours, the shuttle reached orbit around the Arathi world. The first view through the viewport made every crew member hold their breath. Cities stretched below, massive and twisted. Smoke rose from several areas, and the rivers that had once shimmered with bright colors were now dull, gray streaks. The clouds were thick, almost suffocating. Laura turned to the team. This is worse than the images. Much worse. But it's not hopeless. They're still alive, and that means we can help. Aaron took a deep breath. Prepare for descent. Kyle, Olivia, make sure all containment units are ready. We don't know what we'll face down there. The shuttle shuddered as it entered the planet's atmosphere. Outside, the sky was a sickly green, and lightning flickered in the distance. Winds shook the shuttle, but it held firm. Below, the Arathi watched. They had never seen humans before. They had not expected anyone to come. And now, one small vessel descended like a promise, carrying creatures fragile and strange, yet unafraid. When the shuttle landed, the doors opened with a hiss. A thick, acrid smell filled the air. Olivia checked the sensors. Air is toxic. We need full suits. The team stepped onto the cracked ground. The Arathi had gathered nearby, moving slowly, uncertain, staring with wide, frightened eyes. Their bodies were tall and thin, with translucent skin that shimmered under the green sky. Their faces were elongated, their eyes large and black. They had not seen humans before, but instinctively, they sensed that these beings were different. One Arathi elder stepped forward, holding up a trembling hand. Why have you come? All others have abandoned us. Aaron lowered his visor slightly, showing his face. We didn't come to abandon you. We are here to help. The Arathi shivered. Help? You do not understand. The disease, it will kill you as it killed our people. You will die. Laura stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. We know the risks, but we also know you deserve a chance to survive. We will protect you. For a long moment, no one spoke. The wind howled over the ruined landscape. Then the elder lowered his hand and nodded slowly. Perhaps this is what we have waited for. Perhaps you are different. Olivia knelt and opened a case of medical instruments. We'll start simple. We need to examine those who are sick and those who are healthy. With care, we can stop the spread. Kyle began setting up small generators and energy shields, covering the area with a protective bubble. It's not much, he said, but it should keep the worst out. We'll expand as we go. Aaron looked around. We're the first to arrive when no one else came. That's why we have to succeed. The world is counting on us even if no one else cares. As the sun or what passed for it set behind the gray clouds, the Arathi watched the humans work. They were not fast, not perfect, but they were tireless. They did not retreat when illness or danger presented itself. Slowly, a fragile hope began to grow. Aaron felt it too. Even in this ruined place, surrounded by death and decay, he could see something that no amount of fear could destroy: determination. Humanity had come to the Arathi not because they expected rewards, not because they sought recognition, but because they understood that some things are worth the risk. Life is worth saving. That night, the humans slept little. They monitored the environment, checked their equipment, and prepared for the first direct contact with the sick. Every sound outside, the wind, the shifting rubble, the distant cries of the Arathi reminded them that they were alone in this effort. Alone, but not afraid. Aaron stood at the edge of the camp, looking at the alien city below. The Arathi did not speak much, but their eyes followed every movement. There was fear, yes, but also curiosity. They had abandoned hope long ago, and yet, here it was, flickering again because of humans. Laura joined him silently. They are watching us, she said. Aaron nodded. Yes, and they will learn. They will learn that even when the galaxy turns away, humans do not. In that quiet, under a sky filled with sickly clouds, the first bond formed. Not between leaders or generals, not through treaties or weapons, but through action, courage, and the simple, quiet decision to stand where others would not. This was only the beginning. The Arathi world was dying, but hope had returned. And humanity, small and fragile in the eyes of the galaxy, was ready to fight not with power, but with will. The night passed slowly. The humans watched, waiting, preparing. The Arathi slept uneasily, unsure if the strangers would be their saviors or another danger. But by morning, when the green light of the broken sun spilled across the ruined streets. Both sides knew something the galaxy had forgotten. Humans, even when everyone else abandons the weak, will not turn away. The morning light fell over the Arathi city in pale green streaks, giving the ruined streets an eerie glow. Aaron, Laura, Olivia, and Kyle woke early. The air outside was heavy with the smell of decay, and a quiet tension hung over the alien world. The Arathi moved slowly, watching the humans work. Some stared from a distance, afraid to come closer. Others peeked through broken windows, curiosity mixing with fear. Olivia unpacked her medical kits carefully. She sorted vials, protective gloves, and sensors. "We have to start with testing," she said. "We need to know who is infected and who is not," Aaron nodded. "We'll split into teams. Olivia, you take a few Arathi with you and test them. Kyle and I will begin setting up shelters for the sick. Laura, you coordinate the rest." Laura looked over the ruined streets and nodded. "We need order. If we don't organize, chaos will spread faster than the disease." The first Arathi to step forward was a young male named Terran. He had large, black eyes and thin, translucent skin stretched over a fragile frame. His movements were slow and careful. "I will go with you," he said to Olivia. "If you help me, perhaps others will follow." Olivia smiled gently. "Thank you, Terran. We'll do our best." They moved to the nearest ruined building, a place that had once been a hospital. The walls were cracked, windows broken, but the space was usable. Olivia set up portable scanners and spread her supplies on a clean mat. Terran and a few other Arathi stood nearby, watching closely. "This device will scan for infection," Olivia explained, pointing to a small handheld sensor. "It will not hurt you. We just need to know who is sick and who is healthy." The Arathi hesitated, then slowly allowed her to begin. Olivia worked carefully, explaining each step. The readings came back quickly. Some Arathi were sick, coughing weakly and shaking. Others showed no signs of infection. Aaron and Kyle were outside, struggling to move heavy debris. They were building makeshift shelters with sheets of metal and reinforced plastic. Kyle hammered pieces together while Aaron adjusted the supports. The wind picked up, blowing dust into their suits. "This is harder than I thought," Kyle muttered. "These buildings are falling apart. One wrong step and we could be buried." Aaron nodded, wiping sweat from his forehead. "I know, but we have to do it. If we don't protect them from the elements, they will weaken faster. They are already sick. We can't let the planet finish the job." In another part of the city, Laura spoke with a group of Arathi leaders. They were small in number now. Only a handful of officials remained. Most were too weak to walk far from shelter. Laura explained the plan for human intervention. "We will provide medicine, food, and protection. You must trust us. Follow our guidance, and we will help your people survive." The leaders listened, their large eyes wary. One spoke in a weak voice. "We have no experience with humans. How can we know you will not bring more harm?" Laura looked directly at him. "Because we do not leave those who need help. We will not turn away. That is our way." Her words were simple, but they carried weight. The Arathi seemed to understand, though they could not fully believe it. Slowly, some nodded. They would allow the humans to begin. Back at the makeshift hospital, Olivia moved from one Arathi to another. She noted their conditions carefully, keeping a record of those who were ill and those who were not. She administered basic treatments to ease pain and strengthen the weak. Some Arathi cried, their voices trembling in fear and relief. "This feels strange." Terran whispered to Olivia, "We have waited for help for so long, and now you are here. But we are not used to hope." Olivia smiled gently. "Hope is new for many people sometimes, but it grows fast when you see help coming." Outside, Aaron and Kyle continued their work. The wind whipped around them, blowing dust into their visors. Broken beams threatened to collapse, but they held firm. Slowly, shelters began to take shape. Each one was small, but enough to protect a few Arathi from the harsh air. A sound came from the distance. A low, moaning cry. Aaron froze. "That's the sick. They are moving toward us. Quickly, we need more shelters ready." Kyle ran, pulling sheets of metal and tying them to the frames. Aaron guided the weak Arathi into the temporary buildings, helping them lie down on mats. Some coughed violently, their bodies shaking. Aaron kept his voice calm. "It's okay. We're here. You are safe now." Hours passed. Olivia worked tirelessly, testing and treating the sick. Kyle and Aaron expanded the shelters. Laura coordinated resources and spoke with the remaining Arathi leaders. Slowly, a small system began to form. Chaos became order. Fear began to shift into cautious trust. By the end of the first day, the humans had saved dozens of lives. Some Arathi, who had been too weak to move, now lay in the shelters, warm and fed. Others hovered nearby, watching, learning how to care for their own. That night, the humans gathered in a small cleared area. They were exhausted. Their suits were torn and dirty, their bodies sore from constant work. Yet, there was a sense of accomplishment. They had done what no other species had dared. Aaron looked at the city below. Smoke still rose from broken buildings, but there were lights flickering in some shelters. A small fire had been built in the center, and Arathi children huddled around it, curious but safe. Laura placed a hand on his shoulder. "We made a start, but tomorrow will be harder. We will face more sickness, more fear, more danger. But we can do it." Aaron nodded. "Yes, we have to. We cannot fail." Olivia cleaned her instruments and checked her supplies. "We need more medicine soon, and food. We're using everything we brought." Kyle stretched, rubbing his back. "And more shelters. I can build, but this place is huge. We can't reach everyone at once." Laura looked out at the horizon, where the green sky met ruined towers. "We start small. We save as many as we can, and then we grow. That is how humanity works. Step by step, even in impossible situations, we find a way." The Arathi watched quietly from their shelters. Some whispered to each other. They do not fear the sickness. They do not leave us. They care. Taryn approached Aaron, his eyes wide. "I do not understand you. Why do you risk yourselves for us?" Aaron smiled faintly. "Because no one should die when someone can help. We do not leave people behind. That is what we do." Taryn studied him, trying to grasp the idea. It was foreign to him, foreign to all Arathi. In their world, species often abandon the weak, the sick, the dying. Humans did not. That thought alone was changing the Arathi, slowly, deeply. The night was long. The humans stayed awake, monitoring the sick and reinforcing shelters. Outside, the wind howled and strange creatures scuttled through the ruins. But the humans did not flinch. They moved calmly, carefully, their every action sending a message. "We are here, and we will not leave." By morning, a small miracle had occurred. Several of the sick Arathi had improved overnight. They could sit up, take small steps, and eat. The humans celebrated quietly. It was only a small victory, but it was a start. Olivia looked at her notes. "If we continue like this, we can stabilize more of them. But it will take weeks, maybe months. We have to prepare for a long fight." Aaron nodded. "We will fight. That is what we do. No matter what comes, we do not stop. They are alive because we are here, and we will keep them alive." Laura gathered the team. "Today we begin the real work. Healing, protecting, and teaching. The Arathi have forgotten trust, but we can show them. Every life we save is proof. Every action we take is hope. Remember that." As the humans moved through the ruined streets, the Arathi began to follow. Slowly, cautiously, they joined the effort. Some carried water, some helped clean debris, some even assisted Olivia with minor treatments. They were learning. They were remembering what it meant to survive with help. Aaron watched them and thought of Earth, of the billions who had trained him, taught him, and made him strong. He realized that humanity's strength was not in weapons or technology. It was in the will to act when others would not. It was in compassion. In that day, in the gray ruins of a dying world, the Arathi learned it too. The humans worked from dawn until night, their bodies aching, minds tired, but hearts full. The shelters grew, the sick were stabilized, and small sparks of life appeared where there had been none. The Arathi began to speak among themselves, quietly at first, then louder. They will not leave us. They do not fear death. They are different. Aaron, Laura, Olivia, and Kyle exchanged tired smiles. They had risked themselves, and the first signs of hope were appearing. But they knew this was only the beginning. The Arathi world was vast, the disease strong, and dangers unknown still. For the first time in months, the Arathi slept that night with a glimmer of hope. And humanity, small and fragile in the eyes of the galaxy, proved again that even when every other species abandons the weak, humans stand firm. The next morning, the Arathi world was no less gray, but there was movement. The humans had built small shelters, stabilized some of the sick, and started forming a small perimeter of safety. Outside the shelters, the wind blew with a harsh chill, carrying dust and spores from the decayed plants. Even the air seemed alive with danger. Yet the humans moved calmly, prepared for the challenges ahead. Aaron, Laura, Olivia, and Kyle walked through the ruined streets, checking shelters and speaking quietly with the Arathi who had begun to assist. "We need to expand our area," Aaron said. "More shelters, more food, more medicine. And we need to make safe paths between them." Kyle nodded, adjusting his backpack full of tools. "I can build more structures, stronger this time. But we need materials. The city is mostly rubble." Laura studied a nearby building, half collapsed but still sturdy in parts. "We can use that. Strip what we need, but be careful. We don't want anything to fall on the Arathi." Olivia checked a small group of recovering Arathi. "We also need to monitor the sick constantly. Some symptoms are slow to appear. We can't let them get worse unnoticed." The humans moved like a small army, careful and precise. They were not armed for war, but for survival, and in that, they were unstoppable. The Arathi watched, their eyes wide with wonder. These beings were fragile in appearance, yet they worked with endurance and determination that surpassed anything the Arathi had seen. Kyle began constructing additional shelters using metal sheets and supports from damaged buildings. Each shelter was small but strong, designed to hold a few Arathi and keep the toxic air outside. He worked quickly, hammering sheets into place, adjusting supports against the wind. Every now and then, a piece of debris would shift, and Kyle would steady it with his hands. Unafraid, Aaron moved through the streets with Taryn into other Arathi. They were marking areas that could be dangerous and guiding survivors to safe zones. "Keep your distance from the broken buildings," he instructed. "Debris can fall without warning." Taryn looked around nervously. "I am not used to people being so careful. And yet, you risk yourselves to protect us." Aaron smiled faintly. "It's what humans do. We cannot stand by and watch the weak suffer if we can help." Olivia worked among the sick. She moved from one Arathi to another, scanning and treating each carefully. Some were coughing so violently their bodies shook. Others were too weak to even speak. She worked tirelessly, giving fluids, cleaning wounds, and recording each Arathi's condition. A sound came from outside, a low, rasping noise that made Olivia tense. She glanced up and saw a group of Arathi stumbling toward them. They were weak, their bodies coated in gray dust, coughing and shivering. The humans moved quickly. Aaron and Kyle helped guide them into shelters, while Olivia checked their conditions immediately. "This is bad," Olivia said quietly. "Some of them are close to collapse. We need to move fast." Aaron nodded. "Do what you can. Kyle, help me with the injured. Laura, coordinate the shelters." The next hours passed in a blur. The humans worked without pause, guiding, treating, and protecting. Slowly, more Arathi were brought into the safe zones. Some were too sick to walk and had to be carried. Others were terrified, shaking at every sound. But the humans did not falter. They moved calmly, speaking soothingly, and offering reassurance. By midday, the humans had established a small network of shelters. Each one had a few Arathi inside, protected from the toxic air. Kyle had reinforced walls and added small filters to reduce the dust inside. Aaron and Laura organized food and water distribution. Olivia continued her medical work. Then the first real challenge came. A sudden windstorm swept through the city. Dust, debris, and toxic spores flew through the streets with violent force. Several weak shelters began to collapse under the strain. Arathi outside screamed in panic. Unable to move against the wind, Aaron shouted orders. Move everyone inside. Kyle, hold the shelters. Olivia, help the Arathi inside. The humans acted quickly. Aaron grabbed Terran and pulled him into a reinforced shelter. Kyle braced a collapsing wall with his own body, keeping it steady while others pushed Arathi inside. Olivia moved from one shelter to another, calming the terrified and tending to those already sick. The storm raged for hours, testing the strength of the human-built structures. Outside, the Arathi watched, stunned. They had never seen creatures so small endure so much. They had expected humans to fear the wind, to run, to leave. Yet the humans stayed, standing firm against the storm, protecting them even as the environment seemed determined to destroy everything. When the storm finally passed, the humans were exhausted. Their suits were torn, their hands scraped and bloody, their faces smudged with dust and sweat. Yet every Arathi was alive, and many were still safe in the shelters. Laura surveyed the scene. We made it through, but this is only the start. The planet is against us. The disease is against us, and the environment is against us. We have to be ready for more. Aaron nodded, wiping his face. We can handle it. We've survived worse. We will keep surviving. That's what humans do. Step by step, no matter the odds. The Arathi slowly began to understand. They gathered around the shelters, helping where they could. Some carried supplies, others cleaned debris, and a few even tried to help Olivia with the weak. They were learning not just to survive, but to trust. En approached Aaron again. Why do you not leave? Why do you risk yourselves like this? Aaron looked at him, tired but steady. Because you matter. Because life is worth protecting. Because no one should be abandoned if someone can help. That is how humans are. Terran studied him, trying to comprehend the idea. In Arathi culture, survival is often individual, with little help for the weak. Humans were different. They risked themselves for others. They acted not for gain, not for glory, but simply because it was right. As the day went on, Olivia noticed that some Arathi who had been very weak were beginning to recover. They could eat small amounts of food and move on their own. The shelters were becoming safer as Kyle strengthened walls and built more barriers. Aaron and Laura organized the Arathi into groups, teaching them how to care for the sick, move debris safely, and avoid dangers outside. For the first time, a sense of order began to appear among the survivors. They moved with guidance rather than fear. They were learning from humans not just how to survive, but how to cooperate and hope. That evening, a strange sound echoed through the ruins. A low, growling noise, like the earth itself was angry. Some Arathi panicked, screaming and running for shelter. The humans, however, remained calm. Aaron grabbed his communicator. Everyone stay inside. Do not go out. Kyle peered outside. It's a large creature, something native to the planet. It seems disturbed by the windstorm. Laura spoke firmly. It cannot harm us if we stay calm. Olivia, check the Arathi for panic and reassure them. Aaron, watch outside. Kyle, reinforce barriers. The creature moved closer, a shadow in the fading light. It was massive, covered with spines and hardened scales. Its eyes glowed faintly in the green twilight. The Arathi screamed again, but the humans did not move backward. They stood, steady, between the creature and the survivors. Aaron raised a hand. It will not cross us if we are calm. Humans are here to protect you. Trust us. Slowly, the creature stopped at the edge of the shelters. It sniffed the air, moved in small circles, but did not attack. The Arathi gasped, amazed that the humans were not afraid. Finally, after several tense minutes, it turned and moved away. The humans exhaled, exhausted but relieved. The Arathi looked at them with new eyes, eyes that were beginning to understand that these small, strange creatures would not abandon them. That night, the humans stayed awake again, monitoring the shelters and the sick. The Arathi slept for the first time in weeks without fear of immediate danger. Slowly, trust was growing, fragile but real. Aaron, sitting next to Olivia, whispered, "Every day we stay here, we prove something, not just to them, but to the galaxy. Humans do not turn away from those in need. Olivia smiled tiredly. Yes, and look at them. They are learning. They will remember this. One day, they will tell their children about the humans who came when no one else did. Kyle leaned back against a wall, exhausted. And we'll keep coming, no matter what the planet throws at us. Storms, disease, monsters. It doesn't matter. Step by step, we build hope. Laura looked around the small, safe zone. Step by step. That is all we can do. But that is enough. Humans can do enough. Outside, the green sky darkened, and the ruined city seemed less terrifying than before. The humans had brought order where there had been chaos, protection where there had been fear, and hope where there had been despair. The Arathi were watching, learning, and slowly trusting. Humanity, fragile and small in the galaxy's eyes, was proving something greater than technology or weapons. It was proving that even in the face of impossible odds, compassion and courage could shine brighter than fear. And so, on the dying world of the Arathi, humans continued their work, step by step, day by day, building a shield of hope in the gray wasteland.